Try like rubbing on it and stuff. That could help, or shaking your arm out like this might help. But it should go away in the next day or two.
Yeah, my mom said hers hurt for like 3.5 days, 3 or 4 days.
The next day after my first shot, that was the worst, and then it gradually got better and better, and now you would never know.
Yeah, they say just keep moving it, and then it goes away.
Yep.
It does seem to
move
help.
it. Got to rub it out. Just got to rub one out. You'll be fine.
Yep, there you go.
Hey, Byron.
Hello. You've got to move it. Move it.
You got to move it. Don't move it. Testing.
Man,
testing.
that Star Tours chime, that shit brought back some like core memories, man.
Oh, that's my text ringtone.
Yeah, you should hear my text ringtone. Tony, text me.
What? Oh.
Yeah, this will bring back memories for you, Byron.
Un momento. For flavor.
Oh, the aim sound?
No, it was the aim sound.
Yep. The ye oldie AOL instant.
Hey man, like AIM was a significant portion of our like development cycle.
Oh hell yeah, it was.
Yeah. That was
like I still to this day think that AIM was probably the most significant invention of our young lifetimes.
That and LiveJournal.
Yeah, definitely LiveJournal.
Yeah.
I would add ICQ to that as well.
Well, I just mean like instant messaging apps because like that shit didn't exist at all prior to that. Like you could send messages through
email.
Well, through email, but I mean, email was never treated the same way.
No.
And especially since like most people had like storage limits on email, so like
to really talk to people, you had to go to BBS's
or like there just wasn't any sort of like quick text communication that wasn't literally just writing someone a fucking letter, you know. And then we were pretty much the first ones to grow up with that. So
well, not only that, but we also fell into that same mindset of curating it as well for ourselves. For example, you had the away messages. So you would always put something thought-provoking or a song lyric or whatever the fuck.
I was all about switching up that song lyric. Like I never used the same song lyric. I changed that shit up like every day because I was like pretentious as fuck.
Yeah, and if you knew somebody specific that was on that would see it, you would change it so that it referred to something between them. It was all manipulation, and I think
Tony,
that
did you ever see the computer setup that I had in my house?
No.
If I did, I don't remember.
I think you may have seen it once. So my computer setup when I was a teenager was literally in a closet underneath the stairs.
Okay,
Harry Potter.
Yeah. I swear to God, I'm not making that up. Because my parents were worried that I was doing nefarious shit on my computer in my room. So they took my computer out of my room and put it into a place that they could literally just open the door anytime.
Wow.
Mind you, I was doing exactly the same shit that I was doing on my computer in my room in the fucking closet. But
if we had
it was just the added risk of somebody walking in on you.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that made it even better. The thrill. If we as teenage boys, if we had access to a computer behind any closed door,
yeah, seriously,
socks were being destroyed.
So one time, there's actually a funny story about this. Is there was a period of time when I was a freshman, while I was still at Eastlake before I went to Benita, where my parents just really thought I was on drugs, but I was not, and wouldn't be for years to come. But they were convinced because I was hanging out with the bad kids, or some of them. They were just fine. They were just as like, anyways. So one time we were in homeroom, and I was hanging out with these guys, and I went into a science class with them as for homeroom, but I wasn't supposed to be there because you were supposed to go to one of your classes, not your friend's classes. But people did this all the time where they would sort of finagle it, you know. So I went to a science class that I didn't have, and I was there, and I was like, I found this pair of tweezers on like science tweezers. I don't know that they were using for lab stuff.
Science tweezers.
Yeah, science tweezers. For that they use in the labs, and they were just sitting on the desk, and I was fucking with them all throughout this period of 50-minute, long thing. And I was with friends, and I just absentmindedly, it ended up in my hand as I was leaving the lab. Like I was still fucking with it. And then I was outside of the class and I was like, oh shit, I still have these tweezers. So I accidentally stole the tweezers. So I was like, I don't know what to do with these tweezers. So I just put them in my backpack. And I got home. Anyways, I was going through my backpack and I was like, oh shit, I still have those tweezers that I accidentally stole from that lab.
Not the science tweezers.
Yeah, not the science tweezers. So I just put them on my computer desk because I didn't know what the fuck to do with them. And then they just sat there for weeks. Totally, completely forgot about them. Then a couple, like maybe a month and a half after this happened, my stepmother, Joe, came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I found your roach clip." And I was like, my what? My what? What the fuck is a roach clip? I didn't even know what a roach clip was. And she's like, I know you're smoking weed. I know you're doing drugs. And I was just like, well, I'm not.
You're doing the dope.
And she's like, I found your roach. And then she pulled them out in the tweezers and I found your roach clip. And I was just like, those are tweezers. And I was like so annoyed because like I wasn't even doing drugs, but I was getting in trouble for it.
Yeah. Like we're skipping the fun part here.
Yeah, exactly. Like at least if I'm gonna get in trouble for doing drugs, I want to get high,
Yeah, this is how you start doing drugs, is people accusing you of doing drugs when you're not doing drugs. So then you might as well
seriously, I was like, fuck you, I will do drugs. Anyways, I've always thought that was a funny story.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah, we are the generation of ASL.
Hey,
that doesn't stand for American Sign Language, kids.
To be fair though, like, did you even really ever do ASL?
Yep.
Yes.
I was a frequent AOL chat room member in the mid 90s.
I mean, I was too, but I was also like a literal child. Like I was like 8, 9 years old when I was doing shit like that. And in retrospect, like, what the fuck?
I didn't.
I
used to go into the X-Files and the Star Trek like RPG rooms on AOL chat.
Yeah, I was probably like 12, 13 when I really started getting into like finding random group chats and shit on there.
Oh man, I was doing that like young. Like
Jeez.
Yeah, I was Windows 95 in that shit.
All those AOL free hours discs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Accumulating that shit.
Could use those hours. First it was floppies, then it was CD.
Mm-hmm. The first time I installed AOL was on floppy.
Wow.
Dear God.
Oh man. Well, if you want to jump right in, I do have a blast from the past sort of topic I was going to bring up. I've been meaning to talk to you guys just because it's been like kind of like in the news lately. NFTs for one thing, which is kind of
non-fungible,
a whole nuts topic in and of itself. But before we get into that, as far as like collectibles in general, there were two major auctions that popped up on all the geek websites from this past week because a sealed Super Mario Brothers NES cartridge.
I saw this.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Sold for
$660,000.
$1,000.
You know, I'm actually a little surprised that we haven't broken the $1 million mark yet.
Yeah.
Because
Probably.
like there are a lot of Silicon Valley motherfuckers with significant chump change, going around that like were doing Pong with their pops in 1974.
I think if a new track and field shows up, if one of the unaccounted for track and field shows up, then that one will hit over $1 million.
Over $1 million. That I agree with. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's something like 10 of those that are unaccounted for.
What about the world championship?
I think they're all accounted for. The world champions are from 93 or 94.
Yeah.
I think those are all accounted for.
Do you
I
know
think
what
it's
we're
just the
talking
track
about,
and field.
Tony?
So there was a version of track and field that came out that there was only like, I don't know, 100 or 200 copies ever made of it or something like that before it got replaced by the new track and field.
Mhm.
And then there's also the Nintendo World Championship cartridges. So those
Oh.
are
That were only used in the
Yeah.
like championships.
Right. Yeah.
And I believe it's the 94 one, which is the most rare.
yeah. So
Yeah.
those are like the two rarest NES cartridges.
I mean, we're getting into the point now, and I've been slowly but surely slightly getting into game collecting. We're getting to the point where it's like becoming like classic cars and shit, where the people who grew up with this stuff are becoming geezers and have a less disposable income than our parents, definitely, but a certain amount of disposable income where they can start collecting these things that they grew up with, like collecting baseball cards in the from the 40s and 50s. So
Yeah,
because the modern baseball cards have pretty much no value because even rookie
nobody gives a
cards.
shit. But like video games, I mean, off the top of my head, I can tell you a dozen video games which are worth more than $100.
Yeah.
For
funny enough, I know you're talking about it's more like the older generation, collecting this shit. But funny enough, I actually heard that news, this auction news from this stocks guy, this finance guy that I follow on Instagram. This guy goes by Financialism. And he's actually young. He's like early mid-20s. But he does the same stuff that I do, like the smart investing for the long term, buy and hold index funds, all that shit. And he trains people to do that. I'm fucking jealous of him because he is way
so your
ahead,
whole thing is you just
way ahead of me than he was.
you just put money in and sit on it, right?
Yeah. I don't do any day trading or anything. It's just like, it's like a big savings account for me.
My dad was a broker, so my dad worked for Payne Weber and Merrill Lynch. So I grew up with that's the only option.
Yeah.
Like you don't try to day trade that shit. That's how you lose all your money.
Well, there's been so many. I mean, Warren Buffett himself, famously came out and said, like, he made a $1 million bet. I think it was for $1 million some years back, and told like all of the would-be like experts and day traders out there, like, you try to outperform me with my just index funds, just buying and holding index funds over like a 10-year
Not gonna happen.
None of them did. Yeah, no, not at all. But anyway, getting off to the side here. This guy that I follow, this kid, he is 25-year-old or whatever. He also, on the side though, he doesn't do the day trading, but he has a penchant for collectibles. And so he was reporting on all this shit, not just the NES thing, the Super Mario Brothers one, but also just a day later or a couple days later this past week, he's huge into Pokemon cards, and he occasionally will go buy some valuable ones, or what he thinks is going to be valuable in the long run. But
that's been the big thing on Twitch lately, is opening
Yes.
Pokemon
even on
packs.
Instagram. Yeah. It's everywhere.
YouTube channels of just guys who just
It's just
open.
like Magic
So-
the Gathering.
Okay, so I
But
have.
what I was-
Go ahead.
Oh, but what I was going to get to was that another eBay auction ended just a few days ago, and it was a 1999 holographic Charizard first edition that sold for.
Let's guess.
Oh shit! Well, I just said a number, but go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Go
say 30,000.
You're a little off there.
$3.2 million.
No, that's no.
That's too
We're not in the
ridiculous.
millions.
Yeah, we're not talking about a Black Lotus here.
300,000.
311,800.
Jesus.
Yeah. Fucking bananas. And
So
Did you ever think those Pokemon players from high school would ever be raking in the millions now?
Yes, actually.
So I have an issue with the idea of collecting, because the way that I come about collecting is that I like collecting from like a cultural historical standpoint. Like I think it's important for this stuff to be documented because I see video games as like very culturally relevant. And I think video games will only become more culturally relevant over time, not less. In fact, I think that video games are going to become more culturally relevant than films and television.
Yeah.
Eventually. But I don't really understand the idea of collecting something because it's going to be valuable. I guess that's just not the way that my mind works. When I'm like I've gotten a small collection of Switch games, and the ones that I collect are the ones that I know that I'm gonna play, or that I know that I'll want to play someday. I'm not going to collect something just because it's rare. I think the only exception to that really for me was that Super Mario Brothers All-Stars release, 3D All-Stars. Yeah. And that was mainly just because I knew they told us that it was going out of print, and I knew, and it has happened, that it went out they stopped selling it April 1st, and within a couple days, there are already people scalping it for over $1,000 on eBay, just less than a week later.
Yep.
So I didn't want to pay that. I wanted the title, and I didn't want to pay that, so I bought it now.
But yeah, as you were saying, like in your mindset, you collect for the cultural value for the purpose of the item or the piece of art,
not because I want to sell it someday and make a fortune on it, because I'm probably not going to do that.
Which rolls into the massive debate right now, the controversy over NFTs and NFT items, NFT art and music and shit that people are essentially trying to get rich quick off of, is what it seems, or that's the criticism against it. Like there's it seems like there's artists especially are really split. There's some that are really buying into it, and it took me a while to wrap my head around it. I'm still like, I feel like I half understand what the fuck it is, but essentially it's using the same the non-fungible token, that the technology that Bitcoin uses, essentially, to have digital items serve. If you purchase an NFT, you are owning that item, that you're owning the item with like the art or whatever, the music album, whatever the fuck it is. And that same token also serves as like a certificate of authenticity of its own uniqueness, which kind of makes no sense, because like you can make an NFT out of fucking anything. Like you can make an NFT of the image of the Nyan cat, I think somebody has by now. But just the fact that you own that one token makes it that one unique token, and supposedly creates a rare item, or it creates that scarcity, so people start bidding for it left and right, and it supposedly skyrockets in value. I think I'm getting that right. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but I don't understand how the marketplace works yet, so I'm not able to. I literally don't know how the transactional element works, so I don't know how anyone is. I don't understand how they're skyrocketing in value so quickly, and I don't understand how that money is getting back to the content creator themselves.
I guess for me, I just don't see any difference in that versus you literally making a song and selling it to some dude. Like, just like, here's the USB file with the song on it, or
Because he's
here's-
actually
Well, because it can be
creating-
copied.
He's actually creating the song of an actual new piece of content. This NFT stuff is not new content. It's like digital representation of current content or already created
Well,
content.
I think what the idea behind it is that the NFT will be used to create new content. It right now people aren't using it to create new content, really. I mean, some people are, but some people aren't. Like Krinsky just put out an NFT of one of his drawings, you know.
Yeah, and he
And-
tried to explain it a bit to me that I believe every time that item gets repurchased or changes hands, that particular NFT, the original owner gets a cut of that value, I believe.
I mean,
But
I'm all
there's one
for
of-
I'm all for people getting paid for their work, and especially content creators. That you know, the music industry, Spotify has, you know, devastated the music industry in after having saved it. And there's not a really good way for artists to authenticate their work. So like especially digital artists, they get fucking ripped off constantly. Like
Oh yeah,
like digital, like literal, like digital visual arts. They get ripped off constantly because there's not a good way to protect, encrypt a JPEG, you know, because that shit can be cracked very, very easily.
Yeah.
NFTs, it seems like it's very difficult to crack. But this is also where I'm skeptical. It's difficult to crack for now. How long did it take for them to crack HDCP when that shit first came out? It was like less than a year.
yeah. I've seen like bits of like ranting posts from little indie artists online, and it seems like the going theme I keep hearing is that number one, it's very speculative, just like the value of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of building a
So it's
system
incredibly
that-
volatile.
Yeah, so it's kind of building a system where many can get screwed, and a few
And will.
and a- yeah, and a few
and
lucky
will.
souls will get rich quick.
So it's a pyramid scheme then.
Yep.
That's,
It's
I mean, you
like-
just described a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
From
is
what
that-
from what I'm reading, I actually looked up and explained like I'm 5 version of this. From what I'm reading, it's just essentially making limited editions of virtual objects, because virtual
That's what
objects
I
are
thought.
are easily, like, you can copy virtual objects easily, but this is the way to make virtual objects like collector's editions or exclusive editions, something like you can get an author to sign your book. That becomes that makes that book special, unique amongst all of the different paperbacks. Whereas this, it's a way for the author to sign their digital copy.
So then how
making
are
it
the
unique.
creators making tons of money off of their work right now? Is it just that these are famous creators who are selling them to people who have the money to buy them at high prices?
Pretty much, yes.
Imagine so, yeah.
Okay, so it's like art hanging in a gallery then. It's literally the artist's signature and someone who really, really likes that piece of art and says, I'm gonna want to have a Warhol one day.
Yeah.
They buy it at what they think is a fair cost.
So there's a lot of criticism in that respect. Going back to what you were saying, collecting for the sake of the cultural value and appreciating the art versus collecting it because I want to turn it for a profit. You know,
Yeah.
there's that. There's also environmental impacts and that goes with any blockchain
Yeah.
because of the intense server load that creates.
I mean, this seems like it's less intensive though, because it's not constantly mining the algorithms.
Yeah, I guess so. I think
Because you're just encrypting it once, you're not trying to decrypt something.
right, as far as I know. Huh. Also, that was a big long chat of us being speculative about what the fuck it is.
About none of us knowing any of it.
Well, I mean, I think we got to a point of elucidation here where we, started off with some mysticism, and now it's
we're learning about blockchain, or we're learning about NFT.
They did like pseudo skit about it on SNL like 2 weeks ago. It still didn't make much sense. But it was funny as hell.
Yeah, they did a little bit of that. We should have had Sean on for this discussion. Anyway, now that we've kind of shat on it, please go buy our friend's art and music because he's rad, and you should support small indie creators. Don't go buying the multi-million-dollar gallery bullshit. Just if you're gonna invest in the blockchain art and the NFT art, go for the little guy.
Buy local.
Buy local. Yes.
Buy your friend's art.
Yes.
Jesus.
Exactly. And if you do have a sealed copy of the NES 94 World Championship,
definitely just mail it to me.
Yeah. Mail it to any of us. To getting off topic, just DM us and send it our way. How the hell are you guys? What's happy Easter, by the way, if that's anybody's thing here.
I went to Easter at my parents' house, so it was the first time we've like had a holiday with them because my entire family except for me is vaccinated at this point. So
oh wow,
that's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Todd got his
Yesterday.
Todd got microchipped yesterday, and and I'll be getting mine.
Got that government tracker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that Bill Gates tracker right up in me.
Yep. So he can watch us all fucking jerk off or whatever.
Transmit the devil straight into your brain.
Yeah. That evil devil who wants to mind control us into being more environmentally responsible and
curing diseases.
I actually talked to my aunt and my mom earlier today, and I had mentioned that I was vaccinated, or at least I got the first one. And of course, my aunt asked me, "Well, do you plan on having children?" Because they're all anti, vaccination.
Yeah, and I plan on giving them my antibodies.
Well, I told her, I was like, "No, I don't plan on having children, and even if this causes me infertility, bring that shit on." I don't want kids.
It's not going to cause you infertility.
No, it's not. Jesus. But there's like totally buy into all the conspiracies with the vaccines. So their whole argument.
Yeah. I'm just saying it now.
And I just found
out
the
human race is fucking doomed.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I just found out my sister is among the same mind. She's not taking it, and she's not giving it to her kids. So my nephews are not going to get vaccinations.
Oh, I'm at the point where I checked out of arguing with people months ago, or being upset about the state of the world. Like, I'm live and let live, or live and let die, actually. And if any conspiracy theories come my way, you just roll with it. Like, yes, I am microchipped, and I'm very happy that I'm microchipped. Bill Gates can control my mind into getting a more efficient car and recycling more.
It's just the way that they look at you, like, oh, you sheeple, and it's just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Just because you saw that X-Files episode where they said that everybody got the fucking alien thing from the polio vaccine doesn't mean you're fucking enlightened, okay?
Hey, Meg hasn't watched it yet. Spoilers for that 20-year-old show.
It's like season 3. I don't even know if I don't even think it's season 3. I think it's season 2.
Yeah. I'm excited to rewatch that with Meg. At the same time, I'm like, man, they really shit the bed later on with the mythology. It just got to the point where it made absolutely no sense. But
yeah, no, I mean, they almost quite literally contradict themselves at least three or four times. And then with the reboot series, did you watch the reboot series?
Yes, I did.
He pretty much was like, "Oh yeah, all that shit that we told you before, that was all a lie."
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually watched the reboot
or
series.
Was it?
Oh
god. Anyway, I love those. Before they did the TV reboot series, the two of them, I enjoyed the IDW comics.
Yeah,
which continued the story in a much more
Respectful manner.
respectful manner, yeah, and cohesive
Yeah.
manner.
It's so funny. This is like, if the creators of that comic were being like really faithful to the mythology, but and Chris Carter's just like Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah. Well, his problem was he could never settle on anything because he just wanted it to keep going forever.
He
Like,
always had a
just
better
wanted to-
idea. He always had a better idea.
Yeah, he always wanted to continue it, stretching the conspiracy to go on and never have a definite end, which made it terrible because
Have you
it
ever
feels like this should have an end here and we should get some resolution. He's like, what? Nah.
So
Now, have I
Robert
ever told
Kirkman
you
watched
about the
Yeah.
X-Files
Well, even
Resistor Serve
Kirkman
game
finished
for
the comic.
PS2?
What's up?
Have I ever told you about the X-Files Resistor Serve game for PS2?
Oh yeah, we've had many a conversation
the
about this.
Survival horror one. Anyways, people out in listening land, if you find a copy of that, send it to me.
Yes. Or make it an NFT. Well, I got a couple of random bits of news, TV and movies. First one, I was a little excited about because it's one of my current favorite shows. Byron, have you watched What We Do in the Shadows, the television show?
I have, yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
The movie is like straight up top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Yep.
And the show is definitely up there, though I still like the movie more. Yeah,
I think they're on
show's
par with
great.
each other. I think they complement each other so well.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
just wonderful. And
I mean, Jackie Daytona is the shit.
Well, that's part of the update that we saw.
They
this
better
week.
bring Mark Hamill back for that shit.
Fucking, that's so great. What was it at the end of it? He ends up like coaching the volleyball team.
Yeah.
Fucking love it so much. Well, so there was like a virtual panel with the producers and whatnot this past week, and the writers acknowledged that. Well, right now they're writing the third season right now. The production was originally geared to start in February, but got delayed to later this year. But they did comment on the whole Jackie Daytona phenomenon and how much everybody just fucking loved that episode so hard. They said they're not, there's no plans to bring him back because, I mean, by the end of the episode, he's you know, his cover's blown.
I just love the
yeah.
fact that he takes the toothpick out and they recognize him and he puts the toothpick back in and they don't know who he is.
Yeah. Oh, that was Mark Hamill. That's right. That was it. Fooled Mark Hamill.
And I'm just generally like, I love Mark Hamill. I've always been a super huge Mark Hamill fan. And so
Yeah.
anything that he does, anytime I'm seeing him in like popular culture, I'm just like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he's
not
just one of those guys.
just voice acting, you know?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys, you know, like some of those older actors from shit that we love. It's always great to see the ones who are still having fun. Like they're still having
Oh,
fun
yeah.
doing the random appearances and the geeky fun shit. Like there's some of them, like, you know, like the Harrison Fords or like any litany of
Fuck
people. who
Harrison
are-
Ford. He's an asshole.
I've heard he's gotten better since his multiple plane incidents. He's I think he has a newfound appreciation.
Maybe,
for
yeah,
life.
maybe those concussions knock some sense back into him.
I think so. But yeah, it's always nice to see like the Mark Hamills who are just seemingly up for anything. Like, yeah,
I
you
mean,
still
he was
wanna-
up for anything way back then too, because he did the Guyver. So
Oh, God. Ever.
I think also one of the other greater moments in the last season of What We Do in the Shadows was the Vampire Council.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And
that,
like
that
all
was
of the people that they were able to secure.
all the like famous cinematic vampires were
Yeah.
just amazing.
That was just so brilliant.
Yeah. Wasn't Wesley Snipes' Blade in there? I think
I don't
Was that
remember
the
if
end of
he's
the first-
actually in it or not.
maybe that was the end of the first season. Whenever they had, yeah, there was a whole bunch of movie vampires, whatever. Anyway, what I was going to get back to was they acknowledged like the fan craze over the whole Jackie Daytona thing, and they said there's no plans to revisit that, you know, storyline because, you know, it's done. but that has definitely inspired the writing for season 3. And so they're giddy about
They're taking more risks.
Yeah, doing more weird one-off wacky adventures like that.
I think that's smart because it's very easy for a show like that to get stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
And I think the more outlandish stuff is part of why the show works. Like yeah,
for sure.
I want to rewatch it now.
We can. In
like the werewolves, right? The werewolves in the movie are like the
Werewolves.
best part of the movie.
werewolves,
You
not
know.
werewolves. Yeah. In other horror-related news, so Steven Yeun is blowing up. He's nominated for Best Actor for that
For Minari.
for Minari, which I want to see. But it was announced that he has joined Jordan Peele's next horror movie.
That's cool. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, that's a.
He,
good
you know,
nerd.
I watched Mayhem.
Oh yeah,
Oh, so good.
that was good.
I watched it this week, and it was better than I anticipated. Actually, I was not very because it reminded me a lot of that other Office-based horror movie that came out literally the same year.
I remember hearing about that. I haven't
They even
seen
talk
that
about
movie.
it in the Joe Bob episode.
Yeah,
And I saw that, and it was terrible, and I was like, I don't want to go through that again, but it was actually real good.
Now, when you watched Mayhem, did you watch the Joe Bob version or just?
I watched the
regular?
Joe Bob version.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I freaking love Steven Yeun. I mean, I feel like Steven Yeun is a dude that we all, especially because he's our age,
Mhm.
and he's nerdy like us. He's like we saw ourselves in him in Walking Dead. He was very much like the audience surrogate.
Yeah.
He's a good person, especially his character, you know, and that comes through in his acting. You know, Steven Yeun had to have some of those traits as an actor to be able to portray them that well in the show.
Yeah.
And everything that I've ever heard from him is he's incredibly thoughtful. He's brilliant. He's compassionate. He has deep respect for his colleagues, but he also has lots and lots of fire and drive under him, and you can tell.
Yeah.
And he just reminds me of friends of mine. He reminds me of some of my closest friends. I love him to death. I want him to be the most successful actor on the planet.
Yeah. He's a good one. He's a good one. So he's going to be in that new Jordan Peele project. They haven't said anything about what it's about yet, but they're working on it.
Yeah, I'm sort of like looking through that Hollywood Reporter Variety article for any like nugget for what possibly it could be about, but there was nothing.
Yeah, it's under wraps so far. Daniel, does he pronounce it Kaluuya? Will also be in that as well. Who was
That's cool. So they're reuniting.
Yeah, the main guy in Get Out with Jordan Peele's Get Out. And
What'd you guys think of the second one? Us. Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Meg says she didn't like it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was as strong as Get Out, but I still found it very interesting and creative.
Yeah, I really liked it. I was a little bit. It was a little bit obtuse, you know, but you know that was sort of the intention. But I really enjoyed it. It was also interesting because the year that I saw it, they also did at Halloween Horror Nights. One of the houses was an Us house, and so that was fun. It worked better than you would think as a haunted house.
All right.
Yeah.
Ooh. This might excite you guys, but I still have to dive into the world of The Witcher. That's we're actually going to jump on that show as soon as we're done. We are so close to finishing Supernatural. We've got like a season and a half, but The Witcher season 2 officially wrapped filming, and they announced that, or they let slip in a little behind the scenes video online that they're adapting the Blood of Elves storyline. which I'm not
It's one of
familiar
the
with. But
novels.
oh yeah,
So how much crossover do the books and the games have?
There's a fair amount of crossover, especially character-wise. All the major characters from the games are from the books.
Oh, okay.
So there's a decent amount of crossover, and but
Because I
the
played the first game and part of the second one, but I haven't played the third one yet.
but they are adaptations from the books. They're not straight like
My nephew is really, he's like 20, I believe. Might be 21. He's super into The Witcher, like very, very much into The Witcher. And has been for a while. He was reading the books in high school.
nice. Cool.
I have half of them on audiobook, so eventually I will get around to them. Got to spend my Audible credits on something.
That's not Star Wars books.
I have every Star Wars book that I want.
I
have
own them
s-
all.
I have so many Audible credits. You get one, well, you get one a month, and I keep letting them build up. So I have like 30 books that I need to listen to, and I have 6 credits right now.
Oh, jeez. That's a lot.
Wow. That's cool. There is a animated film for Batman: The Long Halloween coming.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it's a 2-part one too.
Yeah, like they did Dark Knight Returns, part 1 and 2. But speaking of supernatural, our Jensen Ackles will be Batman / Bruce Wayne.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God, my heart.
Didn't
has-
he already play a character in
He was Jason Todd,
Jason
Red
Todd?
Hood,
That's right.
and the 2010 Under the Red Hood movie as well.
Under the
And,
Red Hood is real good.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Real good.
And actually,
In fact, it's one of the best. It's one of the best DC animated movies.
okay. I think I have a Gmail draft saved of all the ones I haven't watched yet. I have a laundry list of them to get through.
There's a lot of them now because they put out effectively. I think it's 2 a year at this point.
Oh, geez.
Might be even more than that. Might be 3 a year.
Yeah. And on a sadder note, Naya Rivera, the Glee star who passed away last July, was actually working on this project. She completed her voice work as Selena Kyle.
Oh shit!
So she will posthumously be in that as well.
For both parts.
Doesn't say. Don't know if she completed the voice work for both parts or just one.
So the Long Halloween is
I
an
imagine.
interesting. The Long Halloween is an interesting thing because I think it's probably one of the best standalone Batman stories. It's one that I highly recommend new readers read because it's complete. It's fairly comprehensive in terms of the characters, and it's just really well told, and the art is fantastic. So it's like, and there's a little bit of it's Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, and there's Long Halloween, and then there's Dark Victory, which is a sequel, and then after that they did a Catwoman book. I can't remember what it's called. That takes place in that same sort of not universe, but like mini universe. And then there were 2 prequels to it that they're not really prequels. They were just stories that came out before the Long Halloween that were literally just Halloween one-shots that came out in like October. And I think it's called Batman Haunted something. I can't remember what it's called. But it's really good. I strongly recommend that people read them because they're fantastic.
Wasn't the Long Halloween the one? A lot of elements were taken out of that for Nolan's
Batman
Dark-
Begins. Yeah. So
The Dark Knight.
the visual of Scarecrow on the horse breathing fire, that's taken directly from the Long Halloween. And there's also a lot of speculation that this new Batman movie, The Batman, is taking a more direct adaptation, or at least much more direct influence from The Long Halloween than even Batman Begins did, because it's been noted that at least a portion of the movie actually takes place during Halloween because there were pumpkins visible on set.
Yeah. All right.
So there's some speculation that Riddler is sort of taking over the role of Calendar Man in that narrative, though the Riddler is also in that book too. But I think they're sort of going the Calendar Man route.
All right. Sounds good. Byron, did you catch wind of that Star Trek Voyager documentary?
I did, yeah.
Crowdfunded?
So I got emails directly from the production company because I was a contributor to the Deep Space Nine Kickstarter. That was the same production company.
Yeah, so this has become the most crowdfunded documentary ever at this point.
Of all time, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is only it's just north of $1 million, which is actually weird that it's that low, I guess, for a documentary, but
yeah. Apparently the previous record holder was a Frank Zappa documentary.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Zappa heads are yeah.
Yeah. Zappa heads. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, this should be interesting. I think there's a lot more behind the scenes stuff to talk about with Voyager than where with DS9 it was just like, man, wasn't this amazing, and aren't we all just so talented and amazing and great? With Voyager, I think there's going to be significantly less of that.
there's a lot to chew on.
A lot more pointing fingers, and I mean, just off the top of my head, I can name like at least a dozen like horrible things about the production of Star Trek Voyager. The most significant of which is that the Native American
I knew this was the one you were going to pick.
The Native American like cultural coordinator that they had for the show was a complete and utter fucking fraud.
Yeah.
He was not Native American. He was well known in the community in Hollywood to not be Native American. He was just a white dude that one day in the 1980s was like, I'm going to pretend I'm a Native American. And he lied to the producers of Star Trek Voyager for the entire 7 seasons of the show. And he got away with it.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That wouldn't happen to be the same guy who was the crying.
Yep. Same guy.
Oh, the same guy.
It's literally the same guy.
Oh, geez.
He's actually, I think, Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not Native American at all.
Oh, not at all.
Not a drop of blood.
Yeah. The crying, recycling Native American.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Not a Native American.
Not a Native American, yeah. Jeez. Oh, boy. One more bit of Netflix news. So, again, this is another one that I still have to jump on, even though you accidentally...
Jump on it. Keep us at bay. Woo!
So even though you accidentally spoiled it for us a podcast or two ago, Knives Out.
Shit, that's right. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I just thought, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to still watch it because
it's fucking fantastic. Even despite the fact that you know the twist, you're probably gonna like it just as much.
Yeah, and apparently a lot of people agree that it was good enough for 2 sequels. Of which
it's $400 million worth.
Netflix just won a bidding war for about, was it $450
million? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
To acquire Knives Out 2 and 3. So they're taking Daniel Craig's detective character and just running with him on some other mysteries. So
there's been some speculation as to if that's all the money that they're giving to him, period, or if that's the money that they're using to produce the movies and he gets his cut out of that.
Yeah, me.
And nobody's been able to confirm which is it. Because the first one was shot for, I think, $60 million. So unless he somehow quadruples the budget of each of them twice, he's like still got some money left over.
If Netflix is throwing that shit around, they can afford to give me my 4th season of Glow. God damn it! That's all I wanted.
Well, I mean, that seems to be the MO with Netflix is they're more interested in putting out new content than continuing to put out existing content.
Well, not only that, but it's the three season thing. Like the contracts skyrocket after 3 seasons of a show.
Yeah.
What's interesting is another one that Meg and I fell in love with, Atypical, was
good.
that canceled?
No, they actually are giving them a 4th and final season coming up. So it was one of the few that managed to break past that season 3 threshold with Netflix.
It is closer in line to the way that television is handled internationally. Like Americans have just sort of gotten used to, we get 9 seasons at 22 episodes per season of shows that eventually drive us insane. It's like, why am I still watching this? It's fucking Stockholm syndrome.
Because America, that's how we do it here.
Because, like, I mean, say what you will. Say what you will about 9 seasons, but like, season 8 and 9 of most shows are fucking terrible.
You need 6 seasons in a movie. That's the golden rule.
That's the magic number.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Harmon, actually, we got a season 5 trailer for Rick and Morty dropped.
I saw that.
That White Stripes song was amazingly perfect.
It was, yeah. It premiered.
And Rick and Morty babies.
Yeah. Also, Meg pointed out, and I totally agree, I love that most everything shows the entire family is joining in on the adventures now. Where originally it used to be just mainly Rick and Morty. And
sometimes Summer.
Sometimes Summer, yeah. But now it looks like everybody's just always along for the ride. They just accepted, like, fuck, this is our lives now. And it makes for more variety, more fun, I think. But yeah. Let's see, do I have anything else? Walking Dead final season premieres on my birthday, actually, August 22nd.
I saw the like teaser that they put up earlier today.
Now, is this the 2-year final season that's gonna
24 episodes?
24 episodes, yeah. They tacked on like 6 bonus episodes to this previous season, which are, even me as forgiving of the show that I have been, and I love the show, that it definitely feels like filler. Like, it's like, this is the best we could do under COVID conditions. And they came out and said that specifically. They're like, these 6 episodes are going to be a little different. They're kind of like smaller character pieces. Like, there's 2 episodes that are just like Carol and Daryl, like off in the woods, because it's easier to shoot, small casts during COVID.
That it means you can shoot, you can cut the production crew by 1/3 because you don't need like a million PAs running around.
Yeah. And then the final one of the 6 bonus ones is coming up. That's going to be the Negan backstory with
here's Negan.
With Hillary Burton, his real life wife, playing his wife Lucille.
Is that just going to be 1 episode, or is it going to be like a feature-length episode or something?
I think it's just a 1 episode.
Okay. They seem to be putting like a lot of emphasis on this episode.
Yeah.
So it's because people love Negan, or they used to love Negan.
Well, I think it's also because Here's Negan was like a prequel comic that they put out as a one-shot after something happened to the main character in the comics.
So they're doing a direct or somewhat adaptation of that comic.
Yeah, so Here's Negan came out shortly after the final issue of Walking Dead. And it was, I think it was a 2 or 3 episode mini, and it was Negan's backstory.
Okay.
They did the same thing with the governor, by the way. They did a little mini about the governor. I think it was 3 or 4 issues. I can't remember.
Okay.
Way back in the day, like 2010 or 2011.
that's how long Walking Dead has been going. Like the governor feels like a lifetime ago.
I mean, it was 10 years ago, man. It was
Shit.
more than 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
The governor on Walking Dead, the TV show, was more than 10 years ago.
God damn.
I mean, he was been around as recently as like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's the case. I think the last time we saw the governor alive was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember now.
2014.
When I
First
think of him,
episode
though,
was 2010, October 31st, 2010.
Yeah, so I guess we hadn't been introduced to the governor yet in the TV show.
when
He
I
didn't show up
think,
to what, third season?
Yeah, it's a
yeah, third season sounds about right. When I
they're
think
still
back
they're
to-
still on the farm in
Yeah.
season 2.
No, they're at the prison by season. Oh yeah. Season 2,
Yeah,
they're still on
season
the farm.
2 is the fucking farm because they never fucking leave the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And they introduce
Except to go
Negan-
get condoms once.
Yeah, they introduce Negan, I think very. Yeah, because they don't even find the prison.
Negan is a while after the prison.
Yeah.
Negan.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
governor is completely gone by the time we even get a glimpse of Negan.
Okay.
I met the governor. Yeah, we don't even see the governor until season 3. So
When I think back to him, though, I can't separate him from that hilarious bad lip reading video. Do you ever watch those on YouTube? Oh,
just
God.
the Yoda one with the
Yeah.
singles.
The bad lip reading. So yeah, they used to do just bad lip reads, and then eventually they got into songs and shit. And the governor, I think, was one of the first ones. There's a scene where the governor actually goes to Rick, and they have a little like parlay, and he
Oh yeah.
like tries to map out like here's my land, this is yours. Like let's
When they meet in the shack
yeah.
and everyone's waiting outside.
Yeah, but there was a bad lip reading video on that channel where he just breaks out into like a full Broadway song, and it ends up like it's just so fucking perfect. It's ridiculous.
I rewatched season 1 through 7 in quarantine. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
Oh, speaking of, this isn't really newsworthy. I guess it might be news to some people, but have you have Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Have you seen the new category there for vintage Star Wars?
Oh yeah. It's got the Ewok Adventure.
Yeah, the 2 Ewok live action Ewok movies, the
and then Clone
Ewok
Wars.
cartoon, and
Yeah.
Tarkovsky's Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, good times. And some like cartoon that I've never seen before.
Droids.
No, I didn't see droids on there. What I saw was something called The Story of the Faithful Wookiee.
Wait, what?
That's part of the holiday special.
Oh yeah, that's a clip. That's one of the segments from the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh
But since Lucas has said like you can never show the holiday special, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the same thing with Boba Fett. They're cutting out Boba Fett's animated sequence from the Star Wars Holiday Special, and they're gonna put it on Disney Plus.
Oh wow.
At this point, just put it up. Just fucking put it up. Anybody who
Anybody who
You're
really
not-
wants to watch it can see it.
I'm sure you can
yeah,
find it online.
and I sort of understand why, because once everybody watches it, they're just gonna be like, oh, I get it now.
That's why they never wanted
I get
to
why
show
you didn't
that.
want us to see it, because it's fucking boring as fuck.
But Life Day.
No, because it's just fucking boring. I mean, like the last time I like watched it with some buddies while we were stoned out of our minds like 7 or 8 years ago, and like halfway through, one of our buddies was like, dude, can we just turn it off?
You're like, just stop. Please stop. Oh man. You know, I've this past week I've finally been catching up with my Arrowverse, with the all new seasons of that. And the new Superman and Lois show, which our pal David Harding was obsessing over, fangirling over. I gotta say, I'm really impressed. It does not it's got a different vibe than the other CW superhero shows. Like there's a whole, like the whole level of camp has definitely.
I will say the trailer, when I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like, this seems significantly more palatable than most Arrowverse shows.
Yeah, the where the Arrowverse shows kind of became the characters and the emotional storylines and everything just became kind of like fodder for the main plot. Like they kind of all got wrapped up in plotness and all of that.
Yeah,
like,
nobody makes decisions in those shows. They get plotted.
Exactly. This has flipped the script. This feels genuinely like a believable family drama within this superhero universe. And thus far, they have not intermingled with the other shows. It's just strictly them in small. Well, spoiler for the first episode. The family moved back to Smallville, and they're raising their two boys.
So it's Modern Family, but with Clark Kent.
Sure. And just dealing with, my dad is fucking Superman and I'm a teenager trying to just deal with my own teenager shit, and holy fuck.
Wait, they're
Superhero
teenagers already?
hormones.
Huh?
They're teenagers already?
Yeah, I think officially in the
They did like a time jump after
in the
Crisis.
Arrowverse world with Crisis, they aged them up. And well, I think originally was in the Arrowverse, they only had one kid, and post Crisis, when everything's rebuilt, they suddenly have two now, and they're in their teens.
So in the comics for the last like 5 or 6 years, Superman had a son, and that's been the major Superman comics since at least I think Rebirth, or I think it even New 52. No, I think it's Rebirth. They give Superman and Lois a son, and that's the main storyline.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm like, so in the show, actually, one of the kids seems to be developing powers, and the other so far seems to be a normal teenage boy. So obviously that, can, leads for more struggle.
Cain and Abel thing going on.
Struggle and drama. They're not, it feels good. They're not forcing, like, it's not like they're arch enemies or anything. Like the whole family seems to be like, loving and caring for each other, even though like they're two teenage boys, like even without powers, they're going to get on each other's nerves and shit. But yeah, I'm like 3-4 episodes in, but I'm really loving the shit out of it. So
I'll probably check it out, because you're not the only person that I've heard who's been fond of it. So. And
Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch make a fucking great Lois and Clark. I'm really digging them. Like when he first showed up in the Arrowverse, I was kind of meh. Maybe just because I wanted to see Brandon Routh put on the cape again. But
he did.
And he did. Yeah, he got his chance. But Tyler Hoechlin has definitely grown on me, and he's playing up. He does a really good job of. He's being super dad and trying to figure that shit out, and most of the time failing miserably, because it's like, I'm at my son's football game and oh shit,
I wish I could be in two places at once.
Yeah, the old tropey trope, but they're playing it well. So boom, Tony stamp of approval. Go watch it. But in the meantime, we got another episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and their new number 3 buddy, fucking Zemo, who
Zemo, man. Like I was not
Zemo.
expecting this turn of character for Zemo.
I was not prepared for how much fun he is.
So I don't know if you guys know very much about Zemo in the comics, but in the comics, Zemo is a literal Nazi.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's
a straight up
literally
asshole.
a Nazi.
Yeah.
He believes that like white like Aryans are the homo superior, and that like Jews have to die, So I wasn't exactly expecting to be having the lulls with Zemo.
Euro Club Kid Zemo.
Oh my God, seriously. I said in the text chat to them, I partied with kids like Zemo. I was expecting him to break out hits of ecstasy and offer them to Sam.
Yeah,
I
that,
like how there's already like a gif going around of him dancing in the club.
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, that's the ecstasy's in the extended cut.
He's like gonna break out when they're in his place or in Sharon's place. I was half expecting him to like break out like a vinyl and be like, "Hey, do you have a vinyl player? Because I have this this limited edition David Bowie pressing of Let's Dance from 1982."
By the way, off topic, but just because I think about it and then I forget to talk about it, is the end credit music reminds me of Law and Order. All it needs is the dun dun dun.
Oh, when the electric guitar breaks in, yeah, it's very Law and Order MCU. Yeah, it's it didn't occur to me before, and then they lay it out very brilliantly. They address him as Baron Zemo, and as they're boarding his private jet, he's like, they're like, "So you were rich this whole time?" He's like, "I'm a baron."
I am a baron.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, no, I was a baron.
Yeah, until your friends like destroyed my country, but whatever.
He said like his family was royalty.
Yeah. But yeah, we got some pretty amazing action with a disillusioned Sharon Carter, who is now John Wick.
Dude, she was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of thoughts about Sharon.
Okay, go for it.
I got a lot of thoughts about Sharon.
Go for it. Speak your piece.
So Sharon Carter in the comics is a very interesting character. She dated like that in the comics. They dated for quite some time, like a long time. And
who dated her?
Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Okay.
And I know it's very weird because
that's a whole level of
granddaughter in the comics. She's the granddaughter of Peggy Carter. So very weird.
By the way.
But Sharon in the comics is supposed to be this like very, very like raw America, there was a whole thing during Civil War where she shot Steve Rogers and killed him. So she killed Captain America, but she was being controlled by the Red Skull when it happened, so it wasn't really her fault. But other than that, Sharon is supposed to be like this unimpeachable character, right? And like even during Secret Empire, what I'm reading right now, like Cap turns out to be a Hydra sleeper agent, and he's like, "Oh hey, are you still my girlfriend?" And she's like, "Eat a bag of dicks, you piece of shit. I want you to die." So I'm not mad that they changed her character by any means. I don't really have that sort of allegiance to anyone's character unless it's like doing something really that is disrespectful to the character. What I am a little concerned about is how mad she is. She's very, very mad, and I get why she's mad, but it's also that I also think that she's the power broker.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I definitely thought about that. But
because for an episode called The Power Broker, or just Power Broker, there was not very much Power Broker in that episode. Or was there?
It kind of solidified it for me after they escape the shipping yard, or they part ways, and
Zemo waiting for her.
Yeah, she's got a car waiting for her.
Yeah, when she got in that car, I was like, what? Wait, what? Where'd that car come from?
And how did she find, where the lab was going to be so quickly?
And how is she living? Like, she just murdered like a fuck ton of dudes, even just escaping the club, and they just go back to her place and she's fine. Like, and she's got all these like suits of armor and stuff, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
So I realized that they had to be, if they're going to change Sharon Carter's character that dramatically, they're not just going to do it for a one-off thing about how she's disgruntled. No, there's got to be something more to it than that.
I don't know. I mean, it does make sense. She was part of SHIELD and, was fully invested in the cause and everything. And
Then SHIELD fell.
that all fell apart. It's like, oh, wow. Hydra, awesome. And then still trying to do what she felt was right, help out
Enemy of the
Cap.
state.
Yeah, now enemy of the state. And then doesn't get a pardon like everyone else does.
Because she's a woman.
And not buddies with the Avenger, or not officially an Avenger, or whatever the fuck. She didn't get the same courtesy, and therefore her entire life.
If she does end up being the power broker, which I'm pretty convinced of at this point, mainly and honestly, I think the biggest thing is the episode being named the power broker. I think that is the most significant clue, because there was no power broker in that power broker episode, unless there was, and it was Sharon.
Yeah.
So that's my most significant thing. If she does end up being the power broker, I really want them to give her a good reason and not some mealy mouth bullshit.
Yeah. In the meantime, I was waiting the whole episode for the sudden but inevitable betrayal from Zemo.
Yeah,
where he just ended up being just a barrel of fun, and I'm conflicted.
It makes me so uncomfortable. It makes me so uncomfortable.
I know, but of course, because of his comics history, they can't. They can't.
The ship has sailed at this point. Like, he is no longer a Nazi. They cannot even allude to it. They can't, he even mentioned Hitler.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, what a bad dude he was, or I don't remember what he said, but that's when I was like, oh yeah, they have passed the point of no Nazi.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're cutting those ties. What I'm wondering now is how what direction are they going to go from here with him? Are they going to keep him for the long run with this wobbly alliance, or will he eventually do the?
I think he's going to betray them at the end.
Yeah, it's
I think it's inevitable. I don't think that there's any getting around that.
Yeah,
unless
the same time,
unless they're going the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, at the same time, because we know how predictable that storyline would play out, I almost want them to prove me wrong and impress me by not going that stereotypical route. Maybe there's another big bad that they have to face, but maybe he ends up legitimately keeping his word, as opposed to every other storyline we've seen in this scenario where a former bad guy, a former villain, has this shaky alliance, I'll help you for this one thing, and then eventually I'm going to betray you. What if he actually doesn't?
I think the only way that they'll be able to do that is if they're looking to use Zemo for something like Thunderbolts. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've got their own built-in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I think that's why they're trying to rehabilitate him, is because they're setting us up for a Thunderbolt show.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, yeah, I'd be down.
All right.
It still does make me a little uncomfortable, because he is so blatantly a Nazi in the comics that it makes it. I know it's a fucking fictional character, right? But there still is, even subconsciously, there seems to be some sort of whitewashing of history going on there, in terms of oh, he was a Nazi, but now that we want to use him, he's no longer a Nazi. Type of situation. Anyways, I do have to say though that the whole breaking him out of prison thing did not sit well with me.
Yeah.
Did not sit well with me. The whole thing was handled so poorly. everyone who is like, hey, shouldn't you be like, you broke him out of prison, what the fuck? They're all super fucking right, and there's no fucking reason they should have done that.
No.
Like,
Well, it was a nice. Oh, go ahead.
have him break out on his own, but oh my god, he's a fucking terrorist. He blew up the UN. There's no conscionable reason that you should be breaking this motherfucker out of prison. Anything.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
It did feel like, you know, Bucky explaining to Sam like what happened. It felt like maybe just for episode time, it felt like they got over that conflict pretty fucking quick. Like Sam just kind of went on board.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I mean,
what did you do? And then
it did allow
right.
allow the Dora Milaje to show up at the end of the episode, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah, that'll be really good.
But what I'm definitely realizing is that this show does not have good plotting. It is. I mean, we mentioned this from the beginning, but it's becoming very clear to me at this point that this is not a show that it's particularly well thought out in terms of the structure.
To be honest, I'm confused like most of the time, and I chalk it up to the fact that I don't know a whole lot of like storyline in terms of comics or lore, or I wasn't paying enough attention to the previous movies to really understand relationships in the show, or maybe it's just bad storytelling, but I'm lost like most of the show.
I've noticed this with a lot of modern action oriented TV shows, that I feel like the plotting of my favorite shows in the 90s and 2000s was significantly better. Really? And especially with like X-Files, Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, like those shows, the plots of those shows all really most of the time made a lot of sense. And you could get and you got from one place to another. The plot of these movies very much feels like Kurtzman plotting, Orky and Kurtzman plotting of the like the Transformers movies, in that they don't make any fucking sense at all.
They make enough sense to get to the next action set piece,
and that's it. And that's all it is that we don't even bother having anything make sense because we don't have enough time to get to the next set piece.
To be fair, one of the greatest masterpieces of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark, was written from action sequence to action sequence, and they just kind of threw a plot in there.
Yeah, but the way that they get to each set piece flows very naturally.
Yes, correct.
I mean, they like flow from one set piece to another, but that's also the editing in those movies makes the visual storytelling much more effective. The editing in these movies, because they're shooting on green screens and they're doing like quarter reverse turns and shit like that, like the flow of the storytelling doesn't make sense because they literally don't have good enough editing to make it make sense, as well as the writing being shit, or at least the plotting. The character stuff, and it's the same stuff that I said about last week's episode, like the Zemo stuff and the Sharon stuff. Anytime we had dialogue about people and things rather than machinations, I really liked it. The breaking out of prison thing did not work for me. And then as soon as they got to the next MacGuffin, which was as soon as they saw that scientist dude, I was like, he's dead.
Yeah.
He will be dead by the end of this scene. He will be dead by the end of the scene. And sure enough. But the other thing is that they did not give that moment enough like
room to breathe.
Yeah. Like, so he died and then it was, oh well, there goes the super soldier serum that no one has been able to recreate in 60 years. Oh, just disappeared again. Too bad.
And the ominous camera panning on the vials for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. It was too much. And I don't know. It's just like little production stuff like that really gets to me. If you want this to be as impactful as you're trying to tell us that it is, you have to sell it better. You have to, or else, because I mean, also they effectively alluded to the fact that which it wasn't even that hard to understand, that they got the super soldier serum from Isaiah Bradley.
Mhm.
It feels like this whole thing needed a little bit, a couple of extra rewrites on the whole thing. They needed more time. If I was a screenwriter, I would have saved the Isaiah Bradley reveal for the third act. Because, and then you would have found out that the super soldier serum came from Isaiah Bradley, and then you would find out after the fact that there was a black superhero that was tortured. That makes much more narrative and logistical sense. Anyways.
So what you're saying is they don't make TV shows like they did in the 90s, and these new writers need to, these new TV shows need to get off my lawn.
Man. Man yells at cloud.
I did like the moment with or the moments with the I don't recall the characters' names at all, but the two
Flag Smashers,
super soldier flag smashers, thank you, and the growing conflict between them, the main chick who
and she's just like randomly murdered a bunch of dudes, and then we didn't get any moment with that to make it like
they went from freedom fighters helping civilians to suddenly war criminals.
Well, the guy was obviously like,
well, he was perturbed, definitely.
Like, what the fuck did you just do? There were people in there, and she's like, this is the only language they understand. And, you know,
see, I'm kind of bored with that whole storyline, to be honest. And I think it's just because we don't have enough about the flag smashers.
And they're not even the final villains. They're just the ones being manipulated to fight.
And again, like I'm kind of confused as to what their purpose actually is. You know, they've vaguely said that they're just trying to recreate the world before or
during the blip.
But then they're doing all of this terrorism shit, and I'm just like, are you good guys? Are you bad guys? I don't understand what the conflict is here, to be honest.
Well, IRA members would call themselves the good guys, so I think that's the thing.
Depending on.
And that's the other thing, is that like I'm not even convinced they're being manipulated anymore. I don't think they are being manipulated. I think that's it. I think that's just it. I think that they are the big bad.
Yeah, I think you're
they
right.
are the villain, and I think Sharon Carter is the power broker. And she may be like trying to extract or use them for her own goals, but they are using her just as much as she's using them. So
and then we'll still eventually have to deal with John Walker, which I didn't even realize that Wyatt Russell, that's Kurt Russell's kid.
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah, and I totally see it now with the jaw and everything.
Yeah.
Dude, that jaw is a jaw.
That's a jaw.
It's even more of a jaw with that little strap from his helmet on.
That Mr. Magoo looking motherfucker.
Yes.
Yep. We it was definitely John Walker light this episode. We just got the little glimpse of him at the beginning.
So I'm starting to think that John Walker is not going to be as villainous as we think that he's going to be.
Maybe not, but he's still proving himself to be a dick, because he used that line at any fucking.
Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, nobody looks good after that. Yeah.
Anybody who's ever been in customer service who has
have you ever like hear yourself saying you need to go to timeout and think about your life?
Yes. If you ever utter those words or anything equating to "do you know who I am?"
Because the answer is almost always no, and I don't care. Exactly.
It's uttered only to receive special treatment based on your imagined status.
That is the Karen line.
Yes. Do you know who I am? Do you see this hair?
Yeah, just put on a really crappy blonde wig.
What did Battlestar say to him? That was like really profound.
I don't even remember. I don't remember at all. That's the only thing I remember from that scene. Yeah. Just that line.
Just him being a dick.
Yep. That took me back to call center days. I had flashbacks.
Yeah, this was definitely my least favorite episode. But almost all of it that my most fond memories are all Zemo related.
It's sad that
Zemo
Zemo was the best part
dancing,
of the.
Zemo like looking at the art,
Yeah.
like
I'm still having fun with it because of all of that, all the character stuff, good times. All the plot, meh.
you know that Zemo was the kid who got a Neo Geo like in 1994 when he was like 10 years old, you know, or like 7 years old, and he had all the games too.
Oh yeah.
Asshole.
Uh-huh. All right, guys. Any other bits of news? Anything I might have missed? I thought for a second we were going to get Todd's friend, who's a gamer.
Yeah, we didn't really have anything to talk about this week with him. Well, and it's Easter. His family is pretty religious, so this is a big holiday for them. So they're at home
Okay.
spending time with
Yeah,
family.
there wasn't very much gaming news this week either.
Been a pretty dry
All we
couple
really
weeks.
got was Skywalker Saga. The Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is delayed. That's kind of expected. Rona related stuff. Cyberpunk finally got its 1.2 big patch. So
And I played it, and I still, within literally 1 minute of booting up the game, I had at least 6 visual bugs.
So by
Yeah,
the time I actually get around to playing it, it hopefully should be all patched up.
yeah, I'm thinking back to The Witcher 3's first release, and it wasn't as bad as this, but it was still kind of bad. It was still pretty bad.
Well,
And like
I remember. go
one
ahead.
bug that still persists to this fucking day is roach randomly showing up on top of buildings and trees. And
I've seen so
they
many
haven't
memes of that.
they haven't managed to nail that bug down yet. So
What? The game came out like 7 years ago.
yeah, it still happens.
I saw one of the major little goofy things, screw ups that they fixed with this patch for Cyberpunk was there's a giant neon sign for Night City as you are leaving the city, and night was spelled wrong. It was typoed.
What?
It was actually typoed. It was NIGTH. It was Night City.
Wow. Good old QC.
Ugh,
Yep.
yikes.
So
Yeah.
here is actually one of my passions that is unexpected. Fucking No Man's Sky. You remember that shit?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It has been slowly and slowly, patch after patch, becoming a really fucking good game.
I've
Really?
heard that. Yeah.
So much so that I would recommend anybody play it. Like if you like sort of open world, like chill, like go
Well,
at your own pace kind of games.
This is an interesting story because it launched on Xbox Game Pass last year, and I tried. I was like, oh, and there's a VR mode for it, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna play No Man's Sky in VR. I went to install it. It installed. I tried to boot it up, and every single time I tried to play the game for like 3 months, it would crash the desktop.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow.
And it was some AMD GPU bug, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. So I was like, well, fuck this. I'm just never going to play this game then. And I
Wow.
never have.
Jeez.
There you go.
Might try it again after the new patch.
I have
because
an
there
NVIDIA GPU now, so I probably can play it.
Yeah.
All right.
But there's another new patch that just came out, and their patches are gigantic. They always add so much like new stuff, new different things. Like they're completely redoing some of the biomes again. There's new creatures. There's new ships to do. There's new customization stuff, and much more co-op is the big focus of this patch. Like you can start together on the same world. Whereas in previous, you kind of had to find yourselves or find your friends or whatever, or jump to them. But you can actually start together on the same world now and build bases together and all kinds of stuff. So it's just a multiplayer focused match. And there's giant mechs now, which you can create.
I'm always
So.
VR. I don't know, VR mechs. That might get me actually.
That's cool. I finally fired up Doom Eternal on this sexy beast of a laptop, and It is good fucking times. If you enjoy hyper fast-paced demons attacking you from all corners and metal blasting in your ears, you're in for a good ride. Yeah, especially when you can fire everything up on ultra settings. And this is a good time to get into it because they released the part 2 of the what is it, the First Gods or Elder Gods DLC, whatever it's called, which they say, according to like the summary of it, essentially they're concluding the Doomslayer's story with that.
Interesting.
That DLC. So
when is Mortal Kombat coming?
Oh, that got pushed back a week, so that's coming April 28th, I think.
But it's this month.
Yeah, it's still this month.
Okay, so it's very soon.
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have a Mortal Kombat episode.
That sounds fun. I was gonna try to watch Godzilla versus Kong, but I haven't had time. We just finally
watched it. I watched it right before the podcast because you asked me if I was going to watch it.
I know, and then we got busy with other shit.
We'll watch it. We'll all watch it this week, and we'll talk about it next week.
Well, next week is Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah, but we finally watched for the first time King of Monsters, the last one, Godzilla one.
I haven't seen that one either. I have to watch it too.
I remember hearing a lot of shit about it. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it delivers its promise. It's a big dumb kaiju movie. And you got 11 from Stranger Things, and that one actor who's a dad and everything, Kyle Chandler. He's really good in it.
And it did record-breaking Rona numbers. It was the highest-grossing film during the Rona era of theaters. Made like 48 million.
Oh, you're talking the new one.
The new one. The new one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was talking about King of Monsters, the last Godzilla one.
Oh, it has the same dude.
Yeah, but Godzilla vs. Kong, yeah, it seems to be killing it for Rona. Oh yeah, and in that last Godzilla one, we got Tywin Lannister as well. Charles Dance as the eco-terrorist guy who sicks all the monsters on the world and everything. Yeah. Which I think we were talking about a few days ago in chat, and just made me want to go back and watch a bunch of his movies. So go back and watch Last Action Hero.
Man, we should do a Last Action Hero episode because I want to rewatch that movie and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, Todd and I were just chatting about it the other day, and then we got to talking about that is his probably number one. Schwarzenegger.
Number two. True Lies is still number one.
True Lies. Yeah. I
think
for
Predator.
Oh, fuck, I forgot Predator. Jesus. Oh, this is tough.
I told you we should do like a top 5 or a top 10 Schwarzenegger film.
Just a Schwarzenegger fest.
Byron, top 5 Schwarzenegger films. Go.
Probably Predator. Jingle All the Way. Terminator 2. What's the one where he plays a Russian?
Red Heat.
Red Heat.
Oh, Red Heat. Yes.
I've never seen that in full. The Running Man.
Was like
definitely last
TBS
Action
classic.
Hero. Twins is pretty good.
Twins is amazing.
Twins is a classic. I would have to at least say, for absolutely sure, True Lies, T2, Predator. Beyond that,
who was supposed to play? Wasn't Van Damme supposed to play the Predator in Predator?
Yeah, in the original version, they had him in this weird. The suit was completely different. He had this weird, like elongated, like praying mantis sort of head, and he was like completely covered, so there was no Van Damme whatsoever. So it could have been any character actor in there.
So it was before they brought in Stan Winston.
I think so, or it might have been the Stan Winston original concept. I'm not sure now. I don't know who did the effects originally, but it was a weird other like wonky looking alien, very much more alien, and as opposed to more humanoid, just with a bulldog from hell face, vagina dentata face. But yeah, Van Damme, like he was there for like a couple days and then got pissed. He's like, what am I even doing here? Which, rightfully so.
Yeah, you
And-
can't even see him.
Yeah, and he fucking bailed. And then
And it's
then
not like the Predator's talking.
yeah. And so then they reworked the character and brought in what's his name again? I'm forgetting the name now. It's a 3 name. Kevin Michael Hall or
Kevin Michael Richardson?
Kevin Peter Hall. That's what it
Kevin
is.
Peter Hall, that's right.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, that's one of those weird, I mean, just like the behind the scenes stories of like Raiders. Like, can you imagine the alternate dimension, the parallel world where Tom Selleck was in fact Indy and Marion was Sean Young.
Sean Young. Wow, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Then she never would have gotten cat. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, guys. Maybe we should probably call it on this one.
All right.
I gotta go get a pastrami sandwich right about now.
Oh, important things, important tasks. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. This is Tony.
This is Todd.
This is Byron.
And Meg.
And Meg. Enjoy your pastrami sandwich. And go watch Godzilla vs. Kong. Because we're gonna talk about it next week.
I already did.
It is
Damn
not a tumor.
And
it. To the chopper.
go watch Kindergarten Cop. And
Number
bonus,
4. That's number 4.
Watch Kindergarten Cop 2. Oh, Byron, are you not aware of Kindergarten Cop 2?
What?
Oh, guess who's in it?
Van Damme?
Motherfucking Van Damme.
I was just guessing.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking true. Yeah.
That's just crazy.
No, I'm sorry. No,
It was Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. I'm sorry. Dolph Lundgren.
That makes more sense, but is also slightly more satisfying.
Yeah.
It was
What?
Dolph Lundgren and Bill Bellamy.
Yep. 2016.
How'd you know this movie exists?
2016?
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
So that's a thing. That should be. Maybe we'll do a legit Schwarzenegger-a-thon, and then we'll just bonus that. But that'll be like a binge drinking episode.
Have you guys seen Samurai Cop?
No.
No, can't say that I have.
It's like a classic terrible movie.
No. I saw Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop is good.
Was it though?
I really enjoyed it, actually.
It was dumb fun. All right, guys, we're out of here. Adios.
Hi, everybody. Bye.